Welcome everybody to Viewcount's Rank and Rate, where we go over what you love and hate. And today, our very first episode is Marvel Heroes. I have an entire cacophony of individuals with me today. I have four of my very good friends representing Canada. I have Shawnee P and that KGAK Matt. We have Nigel coming all the way from the UK, and then live and in color from Texas, we have Sid. Y'all have probably, and if not, you should go watch every single one of them has a G2 Kappa interview. So go ahead and check those out. But today we have a list of about 16, 15 characters and then a group that we're going to go over. And I just want to start off because we do have two Canadians representing here. We're going to start off with Alpha Flight. So I'm going to throw up our little tier list we have here so you can see what we're working with. So we have what I'm calling best tier, so S tier. Honorable mention, mid, overrated, and then useless tier. Get it? S tier.
Yeah.
So with Alpha Flight, I will, lean off to the Canadians here. Cage, I know you mentioned Puck and Sasquatch in your
I
top
did
five.
mention them. I did. You know what? I said this when we were talking earlier. I'll say it again. For me, Alpha Flight, and it's a group that people they don't remember, they don't know a lot of, because again, it's Canada's superhero team, and most people don't give a shit about Canada, but you should. They are basically Alpha Flight is what happens if you take the Avengers and the X-Men and put them together into a Canadian group. They have a wildly cool cross section of characters. We have like Puck, who, again, in my mind, grossly underrated as a character. Sasquatch, who is the hill I will die on, is he is an underrated Marvel character. So many others, up to and including James Howlett was originally on Alpha Flight before he went down south and decided to hang out with Charles Xavier. So, we had Wolverine first, so, how good, what else can I say?
I was going to say chunky Puck is like chunky Wolverine. You have little stocky Wolverine, but Puck's kind of the same thing. Now, Sean, little embarrassed because right before we started filming, it sounded like you had some unique history with Alpha Flight, which is you have none.
Yeah.
So here's the situation. I'm proudly Canadian. I will put maple syrup on my poutine while I'm riding the moose into the Atlantic Ocean. Pacific's okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience with Alpha Force. I know who they are.
Oh, wow.
Alpha Flight.
Wow.
Like I said, Sean, your Canadian citizenship's been revoked.
Straight to jail.
I do gotta say though, it's okay not to have a background with Alpha Force because they don't exist. So it's
exactly
fine. Right. So I was just making a clear point. Alpha Flight
makes sense.
I don't understand because like when it talks to flights and military planes and stuff, Canada is not great. So I don't know why we got an Alpha Flight team. But I've known who Puck was. Sasquatch, Sam Scooch, whatever you want to call him.
Sam Scooch. Son of a bee.
That's a Canadian reference.
Yeah, no, I know.
So me as a resident non-Canadian, but by blood, okay? I do have some Alpha Flight comics. I did read them as a kid. I did think Alpha Flight was cool. I was a huge X-Men fan, so it's very tangential. Nigel, Sid, do you guys have any background with Alpha Flight? You guys ever read it? Okay, so this is me and Cage here. Cage, I'm going honorable mention. I don't think they're S tier.
No, I would say they're not S tier. They definitely deserve the honorable mention.
And I'm not going mid. Honorable mention's like our A tier.
And just to add an extra level of PS to this, the first place that the fastball special that everyone that knows and loves the X-Men knows was in Alpha Flight. It was Puck and Sasquatch. Because Sasquatch could pick him up and he lobbed him, and that's where Wolverine got the idea to do it with Colossus.
I was going to say same thing, yep.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying, though. I think that they don't get honorable mention. We need to put them down at the lowest tier because they are horrible. Like, no one, these guys were the worst. Boring comics. The movies were horrible. The fact that they were in the Force and not the Flight.
Here's the thing. I gotta say this.
Alpha Force definitely goes.
I'm gonna say this. Pittman, did you watch the X-Men cartoon growing up when you were younger? Did you watch that? Did you watch that cartoon at all?
I did.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you remember when Alpha Flight was on that cartoon, right? Because they brought the team.
I watched the cartoon.
Yeah, they introduced the team in that cartoon, and a lot of people are like, who are these guys?
All right.
So I'm just saying.
They were very good. Okay.
Put them in the whatever tier.
We're going honorable mention, and we're going to jump into something that I know Sid is very passionate about. We're going to get right into this. And we're going to talk Punisher, because in the live stream, we had quite a few people talking not just Punisher, but also a variant of Punisher, Frank Castle, that we're going to get into as well. But Punisher, Sid, can we start you off here?
Sure, yeah. I personally really like the Punisher. I know I talked a little bit about it in my video, but I think he's actually a much more complex character than just a guy who goes around shooting people. Like he's broken, and he's trying to
He's a broken guy that shoots people.
Yeah, sure.
Those aren't common.
Yeah, those
regular
aren't.
person.
That's the most fiercely American thing I've ever heard.
Thank you. Yeah, but no, I think he's more saying that, like, hey, look, I want what happened to me to not happen to other people. And I feel like a part of him feels like he's obligated to take out all those villains, and not so much that I enjoy doing it. It's like, no, he's basically taking it upon himself to do that. But
now, have you watched the show or just read the comics?
I watched the show, the Netflix show, The Punisher. I also, of course, in Daredevil, season 2, he was like the best thing. Like, they should have kept. Hold on, KG. They should have kept that, and not so much the Elektra stuff. That's just my opinion.
Can I interject here real quickly?
Sure.
Because I'm going to throw a hot take here, because that's what I do. Punisher shouldn't be on this list.
Jesus. Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Punisher is in the same category as Eddie Brock, because he started as a villain and then became a hero because people liked the character. Originally, he started out hunting Daredevil, and then he was hired to kill Daredevil and then Spider-Man. And that's where he originally came into the purview of people. And then they decided to flesh his story out because they were curious about him.
Sean, what's up?
Okay, so he wasn't a hero to start, but became a hero. And this list is about heroes. It's not about guys who started not heroes, heroes. So I think he should be on the list.
Thank you, Sean.
But I'm saying people like Venom were discounted for the same reason. And I'm like, if we're going to discount someone like Eddie Brock and Venom, who turned into a massive hero, you can't then... Argument. Yeah, that's what I mean. If we're going to discount one, we can't pick and choose which bad guy that became a good guy we like.
Is Venom a villain, or is he more like an anti-hero?
Venom is not on this list purely from the lives, because this list ended up coming from all the people saying overrated and underrated from the live. Yeah. But Venom was discounted as a hero in my original tier list off of Sean's recommendation of being a hero. So if you're seeing, because he's not on this, but this was a topic of conversation in the group, so that's why it's being brought up. I do discount him. No, he is not a hero.
And that's totally fine. But I'm saying if you're going to discount Eddie Brock's Venom based off that, you have to discount Frank Castle.
Okay, I'll agree with you there, but I'll agree with you there, but I don't agree that they're both discounted. I'm pissed.
I'm with you, Sean. I don't agree that they should be discounted, but based on the setup that we have here and the rules we're operating under, if A, then B.
Yeah. Okay.
Here is a question I have, though, and we could get into this in a sec. I do want to get to Nigel first. Nigel, do you have opinions on this? If not, I'll jump into the next thing.
Punisher for me is like my take with Hawkeye. He's a great character. He is a superhero in a different kind of way.
He's also a family man.
Fair.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to connect it to, because I was like, it's so close to what you were saying. A different take on the same story of what you were talking about, Nigel. But so speaking of this, and we can get into this as well, we'll get into Punisher's rating here in one sec. What makes a hero? That's the thing. That was what one of my conversation we started this, because we have across the board, we have Deadpool, we have Punisher, we have Captain America, we have Thor, like all different walks of life, different backgrounds. Like some it's their personality trait, it's what they stand for, it's who they are. Some of them, it's the powers that they have. Some it's the duty they take. Cage, what to you makes a hero?
See, for me, a hero, it's someone that, and this is, I was going to save this for later because we're going to talk about this character later, is that it's someone that has been either through their own sort of perseverance or through some miraculous circumstances, been gifted a certain level of power, and then they choose to use that to defend those that do not possess the same level of power as they do.
Okay.
And again, it's one of those, you
Oh.
have a choice between whether you're going to do that to benefit you or benefit everyone else. Those that choose to benefit everyone else, that makes a hero.
Sean?
So you're saying the politicians are heroes?
No, not at all.
They're not gifted power necessarily. Some politicians
Well,
start with nothing and they have to earn every step. That's
That's
not
true.
typically
that's true.
America, but
They're voted power.
also
it's
being born with a lot of money sometimes is a superpower.
yeah, it's a little.
We'll get to that
touchy
later,
subject
too.
Now, I guess. Yeah.
Swain.
Hey, different.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
Tony
Tony
Stark.
Stark.
It's
Hero-
Marvel, Cage. Come on now.
Probably agree with Cage with that. Like, it's a pretty astute observation that Cage has stated. And
I thought it was pretty scroot. As I can tell by your hat, Sean Pittman's Snack Scrutiny. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it
They
out.
do. There'll be one later today.
Hey.
Anyway, I would say I would put that in, but I would also add in, if you're going to go like heroes and like what we've been presented, it's always someone also who, I guess, gifted power, but something happened to them, bit by a spider, hit with radioactivity, injected with something. But then we get to the guys that are heroes because they're rich and they made themselves heroes. So why not? They made themselves. They put the work in. So yeah, I would kind of be on the same boat as my Canadian brother.
Speaking of being a rich man injected with something, Sid, what is your opinion?
What the? Okay. Right. Yeah. I think for me, so I've actually heard this somewhere, and I kind of agree. So heroes and villains have both gone through, bad things in their background. The hero's mindset is the world hurt me, but I want to make sure that the world doesn't hurt anybody else. The villain says the world hurt me, so I'm going to hurt it back. That's usually the villain and heroes. But in this context, I think that it's a mix of both. The like having, you can, because I don't think with Punisher, yeah, he doesn't have any powers, but he is highly skilled. He has a particular set of skills, and he.
But Punisher's also very much the world hurt me, so I'm going to hurt them back.
Well, in a way, he's saying that the world hurt me, but I don't want other people to have what happened to me. That's why he goes and.
But he goes and hurts people.
Well, he hurts bad people. He hurts bad people. He's not.
I'm just trying to give you a hard time because
No, I
it fits
know.
into the narrative you're saying.
I know.
Dexter?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's Dexter.
kind of.
You know what? Yeah, he is Dexter. But,
He's like John Wick,
yeah, that's better. Except
just
instead of
without the dog.
Yeah.
it's just his family, just his wife and
Yeah.
kids. No big deal.
Not as important as the dog.
Yeah.
Nigel, what is your opinion? What is a hero?
Hero is someone you can resonate with. This is what it doesn't matter about superpowers. See, they're irrelevant to me. They don't make a great superhero. I know people are going to say they need the power. They don't. It's the character you resonate with. What they bring to the table is, for me, the superhero. As well as what Sid said, it's the way, like, they're getting back and doing good and fighting against evil. For me, that is what a superhero is. It's not all about power. I like them to resonate. You know the word, resonate with me.
Yeah. I like every one of y'all has a great take on this. I kind of, I'm a mix between some of you and Nigel. A big thing for me of what makes a hero, or at least what makes me identify with the hero, is like if I can kind of see myself in their journey, which is what made Spider-Man my top hero. But real quick, let's get a rating on Punisher. Sid, where do you think this falls as this is your favorite? Are you saying S tier, or do you still think honorable mention?
You know what? I am willing to have him at honorable mention. I'm willing to have him go there.
For me, I put Punisher on the same kind of categorization as I do Batman. Character itself is mid. The rogues gallery is what makes him interesting. All the people that Punisher fights are way more interesting than Punisher to me.
I'm going mid.
Yeah,
Just
so it's like
personally.
for me, he's mid.
I'm going mid. Sean?
So, growing up, I read comics and I loved them. And for some reason, Punisher stands out to me as one of the guys that I love when I read the comics. So he almost cracked my top 5. But I just didn't read enough about Punisher. I didn't know enough about him. But the fact that he almost cracked my top 5, I guess I got to put him in
Honorable mention, like the A
honorable
tier?
mention? Yeah.
Nigel, so you're going to be the deal breaker because we got 2 mid, 2 honorable
You're going to
mentions.
hate me because I'm going to put him in S tier.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Okay, well, that means honorable
Okay.
mention because it goes up first.
There we go.
I don't hate it. I just look at it like this. I think Punisher is cooler because of his logo. I think that's why 90% of the people love Punisher is his skull logo.
Yeah, they
And
put
the
it
glow-
on.
the glow
The
in the
military
dark
put it
shirt.
on like their gear and stuff.
I honestly, sincerely think that that Frank Castle owes John Barenthal a couple beers for making that character actually believably cool.
Fun fact: I forgot to mention this. I think we were going to talk about it.
Well, we're about to if you're going to mention what he becomes or another variant of it. Okay, we're getting into that right now. Give me 1 sec. Nigel, did you have something you wanted to add on Punisher before we jump into the next part?
No, I think I've said what I've needed to say. For me, he's not an honourable mention at all.
So we had 2 honorable mentions of 2 mids, and then your S tier, so he goes up. He's honorable mention. I'm going to throw this chart up here so we can kind of see where we're at so far. But so far we have Alpha Flight and Punisher in our honorable mention, and that brings us to Sid. Who's next on the list? We're going with
Ghost Rider.
Okay, so do you want to
And-
get into that?
So, fun fact: before there was a variant of Ghost Rider called Cosmic Ghost Rider, and instead of I forgot the name of the person who's Ghost Rider. I'm so sorry, but
I just know
depends
Nick
on-
Cage. I don't remember.
It
the
depends on
actual
which
name
one.
of-
There's
Johnny
been like
something, wasn't
5
it, or
people.
whatever?
There's Johnny Blaze. There's
Johnny Blaze.
There's a few others.
so instead of Johnny Blaze,
It's Nick Cage. I don't care.
yeah, Nicolas Cage. Yeah, instead of Nicolas Cage, the person who becomes the Punisher becomes the Ghost Rider is Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. So there is a variant, and in that story, he actually is safeguarding baby Thanos. So I think that definitely would be something that not a lot of people can say they've done.
So for our list, though, I do want to say we're talking about regular Ghost Rider. A lot of people in the live streams, which we have been live streaming. We're gonna be doing it for every week. I'll be doing live streams, taking your comments. That's what's built in this list. Next episode is gonna be fast food chains. I have their opinions coming in soon, and I will have yours come from the live streams. But Ghost Rider was one none of us really talked about, and it was heavily mentioned by a lot of people in the live streams. So, Cage, what were you at?
Overrated.
Overrated.
Damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go honorable mention. I love the movies. Nick Cage, I thought was super good. And I actually have quite a few Ghost Rider comics too. I think he's cool. I think the character design's cool.
He's a cool character, but he adds nothing to like he's a cool standalone, but as a standalone, like for me, part of what makes these characters great is how they mesh in the universe as a whole. He doesn't cross over well with anyone else.
Nigel, do you have an opinion on this?
He's overrated. The character bores me to death. I couldn't.
Okay.
Don't like Ghost Rider at all.
I'm
I never
shocked by
have.
that. Sean, you got an opinion?
Yeah, I guess again, it looks like I'm kissing Cage's butt here, but he had the perfect word. He doesn't mesh well with anyone. I agree with that. He's overrated.
Wow.
I didn't watch the movies. I had a Ghost Rider comic that I think would have got me some money. It's the one where his girl dies, but I lost it. I've been looking for it for years. So that's what he sticked out to me. But he's leather and a motorcycle, which I think in the 90s was huge. So they kind of leaned on that, I think, in the 90s. Hey, let's make this cool motorcycle guy and throw a flame on his head. He looks cool, or he did look cool. This is 2024 now. He's overrated.
Sid?
You know,
Doesn't matter what we think anymore. He's overrated. But
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you all actually did bring up some good points. If we're talking just Johnny Blaze, I can see that because honestly, I saw the trailers for the Ghost Rider movie and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. Unfortunately, like I'm sorry, but I'll say I could say I was gonna say mid, but since we have him at overrated, fine.
We can't be over. We can't beat 3 votes to
Yeah, no,
overrated.
that's fine.
So
I'm just saying mid, but if
I
we're gonna
would
put
have
him in
gone mid
overrated,
to honorable mention, to be honest. I think he's a cool character design. That's more fly
Now,
for me.
and this for me, just because we have the chart up and we're kind of looking at that, saying he's overrated doesn't mean that he's absolute trash. Like he has moments that are very cool, and there's some cool things he's done, but overall, he's not that great. And that's I think Ghost Rider is a great example of that. Where like there's some stuff he's done, there's moments that he's had that have been very cool, but not like he's not the be all end all.
At least he's
Now,
not useless.
the next character I'm going to bring up here, I'm going to introduce another element, okay? Because personally, I'm bringing this character up. He's my favorite. He's fallen into a lot of the things that we claim is what makes a hero. I think he's S tier, absolutely. But there is another category that kind of falls here, which a lot of people say makes someone overrated or that makes them not
Okay.
like them, which is overexposure.
Mm.
So it's like, we'll see this in a few of the heroes with Spider-Man because there's been so many movies, there's so many iterations, there's so many games, and he's in everything, you know? It's overexposure. I think it is undoubted he is S tier. Sid, what's your opinion?
man, I had a big Spider-Man phase when I was a kid, so I mean, I can totally see where you're coming from. And you know what you said earlier about being more kind of relatable. That's definitely me because you know I was definitely the nerdy kid in school, and
No.
yeah, I know, right? Shocker, I know. Also a Spider-Man villain. Anyway, but so I think definitely just for the fact that he has been one of the most relatable characters, not just in Marvel, I would say in comic books in general. I think that definitely puts him up there at an S tier. But I will say he's not on the list, but an honorable mention. My favorite iteration of Spider-Man, Spider-Man Noir. But
Okay. Also, Miles Morales not on here. There's a lot of them. I think we can get representative through these. Speaking of S tier, Sean.
Yes, of course I'm going to have him on S tier. But you talk about overexposure, and there's going to be a couple of guys on this list that have that. But there's a reason that they're overexposed. This is because they're S tier superheroes, and Spider-Man is probably the epitome of that because he has his own standalone movies. When Marvel started making superhero movies again, what kicked it off? The Spider-Man movies. The Batman movies were like the Dark Knight, or not Dark Knight, but the Nolan started with Batman Begins, so it was
Batman
huge.
Begins.
Then Marvel's like, okay, what are we going to fight this with? And they brought on Spider-Man, and I really think those Spider-Man movies has really kicked off. And I know they're not connected at first, but I really think it's what kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Is Spider-Man helped that in a huge way. The games, all the video games that still come out, the comics and the variations and the villains that he introduced, I think it's only Spider-Man villains are second only, and I know this is a Marvel conversation, but Spider-Man villains are second only to Batman villains in the comics universe, in my opinion.
I'm going to go to
Amazing villain.
Nigel, and then I'm going to jump to you, Cage, and let you get the last thoughts on this. But I do agree, Batman and Spider-Man's Rogue Galleries, absolutely the best of all.
Absolutely.
Nigel?
I think you all said Spider-Man, great character, nerd, saving the world from villains, fantastic character. Overexposed, yes. Because the problem is they've done so many versions of the movie that it begins to drag and become the same thing over and over again for me. Is he S tier? No. Would I give him honourable mention? Yes.
Okay.
That's
Cage?
where
Okay.
Spider.
Because I said I was going to talk about this, so I'm going to talk about it right now. Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man is the perfect hero. Because he was just a regular guy, had an incident happen that bestowed power upon him. The great power, great responsibility conversation, which even non-comic people recognize that phrase. They don't know where it's from, but they recognize it. And again, he was a kid that is just trying to figure it out as he goes along. He has flaws, he makes mistakes, but he learns from them, and it's a good thing. Overexposed, he is arguably one of the most recognizable characters in comics, in pop culture comics. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is. You don't have to read a comic to know who Spider-Man is. It puts him S tier just because globally it's recognizable.
So I think he solidly is the first character we've gotten like mass adoption on, other than Nigel being a little wrong. We got mass adoption for S tier, but Nigel still went honorable, so that's pretty close.
He's up there.
And just in honor of Sean, being snack scrutiny, Scroot tier. You know, we'll go with that.
Groot tier.
Screw tier.
So I kind of want to go into a little bit of a lightning round for these next few because these weren't ones initially I was going to get into, but I'm just kind of shocked and I want to get some opinions on this. I just want to hear overrated or honorable mention. I'm only going between the two and I'm going to give you a name and I want to know because I was shocked. This person was on no one's list and was one of the most heavily mentioned people in the live streams for both best or overrated. Cyclops. Nigel, Cyclops, opinions?
Overrated.
Sid? I'm just going through.
Overrated.
Overrated, Sean?
I hate Cyclops. Overrated.
Cage.
I always hated him.
Wasn't a great character in the comics. James Marsden made him worse. He's overrated.
Okay, next in our lightning round, and I'm actually going to go against the grain. I'm going to say honorable mention, and I think because the comics he was way cooler than the movies. Nigel, the Hulk.
S tier.
Okay, so either way. Sid?
Honorable mention.
Okay. Sean?
The Hulk is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's a stolen story. Overrated.
Cage?
I go honorable mention only because both as a hero and a villain, the Hulk and Bruce Banner have carried so many Marvel stories on his back that I can't not give him an honorable mention. The Maestro.
Yes! I was just going to say that. Thank you, Cage.
I'm going to flip just a tiny bit, and I would say Bruce Banner honorable mention, the Hulk overrated. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I can accept that.
That's my opinion. But I'm going to go ahead and I don't know what. So we're honorable mention. Okay, I was going to say because we did have some overrated, but we had honorable mention. So flip side, if you're talking Hulk, another one that I was kind of shocked by, Thor. So I'll start with this one because I've been ending on these. Thor, I actually really like in the comics, not as much in the movies. Ragnarok is phenomenal. And I kind of want to get into this a little bit right when we're done with this. I want to get into whether the movies or the comics shape your opinion more on characters, especially for later on. But for me, I'm going to say that he is honorable mention. Cage?
Yeah, honorable mention for Thor.
Sean?
He's a god. But his character is... Yeah, I'm going to go honorable mention, I think. I like Thor, but I don't have him as ST.
Sid, we're going to end with you, Nigel, because I already know where you're at. But Sid?
I think I could put him in honorable mention just because of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's like my second favorite Marvel movies.
Nigel, I'm ready for your wrong opinion. What's up?
Absolute trash. Overrated.
Nigel, how are you
Damn.
going to go after a character who had a movie directed by Sir Kenneth? Come on.
Watch out.
Character.
Nigel's going to get hit by lightning.
He makes Ghost Rider look like S tier.
Yo!
Wow.
Whoa!
Okay.
Whoa!
Well, Nigel, we voted and you lost. So
Yeah.
honorable mention for Thor. I will say this though,
Nigel.
Thor, while I do love him in the comics and Thor Ragnarok was really good, absolutely the worst Marvel movies are also Thor movies.
Yeah.
Anybody
That I
disagree
can
with
agree
that?
with.
See?
Dark World,
Dark World was
Is-
garbage.
horrible. And you know what's worse? So just as a quick aside,
Love
I
and
used to
Thunder.
work a job where I had to go to the theater sometimes with clients, and I saw Dark World 3 times, and I hated it.
Hugs. I'm so sorry.
3 times in the theater.
I'm so
3 times.
sorry.
Look, the problem. I'll tangent on this. The issue I have with Dark World is Dark World was a movie based solely around the fact they had to write Jane Foster out of the series, and that wasn't their plan, so they had to pivot and then find a way to get rid of that character because Natalie Portman didn't want to be locked into the contract because she didn't like whatever the issues were. I don't remember what they were, but I remember that she was unhappy and wanted out. So like, we'll write the character out, and then it'll be the next movie. Thanks.
How did they bring her back in Love and Thunder? That's so weird.
I mean, they've done that before
Yeah.
with contract stuff. That happens. Eventually, they bring people back.
There was a lot.
How contracts ruin our heroes.
Yeah.
It's
I
always
mean,
my-
I would
Don,
say that
Don
was-
Cheadle. Hey, what up, Don?
Well,
Cheadle?
hey, we wouldn't have gotten Don Cheadle if it
That's
weren't
what
for the
I'm
fact
saying.
that
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard was his agent was too
He
greedy.
was off doing science or whatever on the Joe Rogan podcast. That
That's
is true.
fair enough.
Lucius had stuff to do. Okay, so the next character we're going to get into here pushes even more for me into, is it the movies or the comics? Because in my personal opinion, in the comics, she's amazing, and in the movies, I get why people might not like her. Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Let's start off with Sid. Do you have an opinion on this?
Yeah, I only known her from the movies, and I'm gonna say absolutely overrated.
Nigel?
I was gonna
Oh,
put it
go
at
ahead.
useless, but since we're only going overrated or an honorable mention,
Nigel?
100% with Sid, overrated. I haven't seen her in the comics. I've seen the movies. I can't stand the movies. Overrated.
Sean?
Oh, I actually also only know her from the movies. The actress that played her is attractive female. But she has
I
all the
do
power.
declare.
I do declare. She has all the power.
yeah,
though.
get a little hot in here, you know.
Overpowered.
She's
and
immensely
everything.
powerful. That's why useless is.
Yeah,
I can
so
tell you are not familiar with her game.
Well, I just hate the movies were useless.
That's why I'm actually, because of her as a character, I'm gonna look like I'm only knowing her from the movies, but because she's overpowered and everything, I'm gonna give her honorable mention. You can't take away that she's so strong. You can't.
Cage?
Using the criteria I gave before, she is overrated. However, I would put her as useless, except for the fact that in the comics, if it were not for Captain Marvel, aka Ms. Marvel, we would not have Rogue. Because Rogue got her power from Ms. Marvel, from draining her. So that's where all the flight, the strength, all that comes from Rogue. The only reason she's not useless is because of that.
Cage went rogue on that one.
There's
Thank you, Cage.
5
Love you,
dudes
man.
in this call, and not one of us made a joke about him saying Rogue drained someone. Okay, Daredevil.
Hey,
Daredevil. Sid, what is your opinion
Sophisticated conversation.
as being a Punisher fan? What is your opinion on Daredevil?
oh, I same as Punisher. I would say honorable mention because I like the fact that he's able to do all those cool things despite being blind.
Very cool. Cage?
Are we lightning rounding this one?
We're still lightning rounding until, there's still a few more. I'll let you know when we're done lightning rounding.
Fair enough. Overrated.
Okay. I'm also going overrated. Sean?
I'm also going overrated. Nigel?
Damn.
I'm going overrated.
Wow.
Yeah, take that, Sid.
I'm sorry, Sid, but it's Spider-Man without Spider-Man. He's a dolphin. He's got echolocation, and he can do some. Yeah.
I don't know. I like
It's like
Daredevil.
Michelangelo lost half of his nunchucks. Okay. Next.
I
character,
I would mention a comic book, but that'd be a spoiler. I don't want to.
I'm going to mention this next character with a caveat of I don't know much about them. I've read very little about this character, and they now have a show, and I think they've become more popular because of the show. I have not seen the show. That is Moon Knight. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Moon Knight, but this was a very heavily discussed character in the live streams. A lot of people love Moon Knight. So anybody wants to chime in? I don't know who. I haven't read a lot about it, so I have no opinion. I can't give an opinion. Cage, go ahead.
As a concept, Mark Spector is very interesting. Moon Knight works in comics. Moon Knight does not work when you try. The series they did the best it could trying to translate that character onto screen, but translating someone on screen that is dealing with multiple personalities that are affected by and a power set that's affected by the phases of the moon. Come on. That's ridiculous. That's just
Bro, that's half a witch talk, bro. Okay, what's it?
Yeah.
I would say this though, I think kind of piggybacking off of what you said, Cage. I would say that I like the fact that with the show, they kind of just have him exist in the same universe as the Avengers. That he's not gonna all of a sudden post-credit scene, Moon Knight just suddenly shows up and shit. He's kind of just doing his own thing. So I kind of like that about Moon Knight. So that's
Does anybody else have an opinion on Moon Knight?
Don't know enough about him to have an opinion.
Sean, if you haven't read Moon Knight, or if you have read Moon Knight and not Alpha Flight, I'll be disappointed. So I'm going to assume you don't know anything about Moon Knight.
The only Moon Knight I know is when I opened the door and it was in the sky.
Oh my god. Okay, so Moon Knight, honorable
I gotta
mention.
put a neutral tier for me because I don't know enough about him.
Honorable
Mid.
mention or overrated? Mid.
I would
We'll
put
go
mid to overrated.
Sid.
I'm gonna say honorable mention because I just thought.
I'm gonna go with the fact that most of us don't know a lot about the character as a net negative and just go to mid and not below mid to overrated. But between Sid and honorable mention, we'll go, mid. Most people don't know him, and we get an overrated.
And Sid
Okay.
rhymes with mid. Hey,
I know
kids.
it's Sid tier.
Today
Sid
we're
tier. Hey guys,
talking about
subscribe to Viewcount on
Ooh.
TikTok, YouTube, wherever else you might be watching this.
You guys are dicks.
So
Okay.
we're gonna jump into a few characters. These two, one is gonna be kind of our last. It's gonna be our last full lightning round. One's gonna start lightning round. Maybe have additional conversations because of Nigel. Black Panther, absolutely love, and I'm gonna say from the movies and the comics, I would throw him absolutely in S tier. But since we're doing lightning round, honorable mention, overrated, honorable mention, hands down. Nigel,
100%. That's racist.
Sid,
Honorable
Sid?
mention. Honorable mention.
Sean.
If I could agree with my brother in the Great
Commonwealth?
Britain Commonwealth. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. If I could agree with my Commonwealth brethren, overrated. I don't understand why.
Why did I help you? Why did I assist you with your words, Cage?
Honorable mention.
He goes in honorable mention where he belongs. He should be S tier. You're lucky I made him lightning round. Nigel, oh, I can't wait for this next conversation because if you think Black Panther's overrated, we're getting into someone you want to talk about that'll end off our lightning round, which is Hawkeye.
S tier. You wanted lightning round because S tier. He is my favourite character in Marvel. So yeah, I can't put him anywhere else. I know he's going to lose because I know Sean's opinion and a few others. So, but as for me, S tier.
I'm jumping to Sean next, and then we'll go through. Sean,
He's Robin Hood. Useless.
does he have tights?
Yeah, in the movies, I think, and his butt looks great. But listen, he's overrated. He shoots arrows. I don't.
You
get
could
it.
bounce a dime off his ass, and he could shoot it out the sky.
Bounce an arrow off it.
Sid,
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I don't know if either of you have read this, but Shawnee P, I encourage you to read this. Old Man Logan. That guy down here is Hawkeye. He actually is blind, but he's still absolutely badass in this
I
book.
encourage you to shut up.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. You can't read. I forgot. No.
That's right.
Anyway,
That's right. You
yeah.
read it to me. Hey, you read it to me, and maybe I'll change my decision. All right?
Huh? Okay, whatever.
hold on, Sid. He'll have to be like Daredevil and get audiobook. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
We I'm not gonna do to you, Nigel, how you hurt me with Black Panther. Okay. I will say Hawkeye, definitely honorable mention. Jeremy Renner is okay. He's like pretty good. I like him. Like I have no negative or positive about. I don't think he could have made the character any better in the movies. I think he did very, very good with what he had. I think in the comics, he's again. I would probably go mid to honorable just in general, but I'll err on the side of honorable. Honorable
I've
mention.
never in my life, and Nigel, you're a great guy. I love you. But I've never heard anyone have Hawkeye as their favorite. It was cool. It's cool. I've just never seen it.
I respect it as a dad. That's such a dad thing.
See,
You know,
this is the
because he's
thing.
like
It's opinions, but
Yeah.
at the end of the
I
day,
respect.
he's the everyman. I look at Hawkeye as like the dad to middle-aged man Spider-Man.
no
Because
way
it's like
no.
when you're young, you see Spider-Man and you're like the kid in high school and you identify with that. And as you get older and you have kids, you identify with Hawkeye because he's a family man who's doing this. So, like that's the way I look at it. That's how you identify.
I think my superhero name would be Hot Guy.
No,
so moving
it'd be
on.
Hot Snack maybe because
Are we still on?
I just
Thanks.
want to say you made Cage so disappointed that you put that you said Black Panther was overrated that he left.
He got
Okay.
it.
He heard that and then he heard us talking positively about Hawkeye and he's like, I can't even respect any of this anymore. I am out of here. Okay. So before Cage, because he probably will be coming back here, before he comes back, I want to look at our tier list here. I don't know if you guys can see everything here, and I kind of want to do a shakeup before we do our final four here, because are there any of these? Because we did a lot in the lightning round. Is there any of these that you want to fight to move to a different category? Each one of you can only pick one character to fight to put in another one, and we'll discuss it. Nigel,
You got to move Hawkeye. There's no
up
other
to S
thing.
tier. Okay, well I vote no on that. Sean,
Oh, you would vote no on that.
Move
I
Hawkeye.
vote we move him down to mid.
Oh. I vote we move
Then-
him over to the Nottingham Forest.
Sid,
What? How did you say Nottingham?
Sid, should we move Hawkeye to S tier?
No.
Keep him where he's at, or move him down?
No, I'm sorry, Nigel. I mean, I know I defended a little bit for you with the Old Man Logan, but
So honorable mention, or we move him to mid?
I don't. If you moved him to mid, my feelings wouldn't get hurt, but I don't want Nigel to cry.
So I vote mid. Sean,
Mid too. Mid. I vote useless for me, but so we got to drop.
See, this is absolutely atrocious. It's just you've moved it for no reason.
no. Well, you picked the character, and we.
Yeah.
I said honorable to mid to begin with. To be
No.
fair,
No, that's terrible.
Sid, which character do you want to fight for?
I would like to fight for Moon Knight and at least move him up to honorable mention, because I think he
Okay.
has cool powers, and I think the character's interesting, and at least an honorable mention. And I feel like if more people would read, I know Shawnee P, you have dyslexia or whatever the hell, but if more people would know about Moon Knight, you would understand why you move him up to honorable mention.
I am making an executive decision to move him to honorable mention purely for those of the live stream, because he was so heavily promoted. That is the vote of the people. That is the will of the people.
Bandwagoners.
Every view counts.
Absolutely,
Every
Every
view
view counts. That is the will of the people.
Bandwagoners.
absolutely.
And I will say, Hawkeye had many people say overrated, which I don't get, Nigel. I don't get overrated from Hawkeye.
Oh, he's not
at all.
overrated at all.
But a lot of
I
people in
agree.
the live stream did say that.
That's because a
I
lot of
don't know
people are
why.
fools.
Okay, Sean, do you have a character you want to fight for?
Well, we will call you a fool.
Do you-
I will fight for Venom to be on the list. That's what I'm
Okay.
fighting for.
Well, because I don't have that picture available, no.
I don't know. The rest of it looks fine the way it is to me right now. I would put Moon Knight maybe in the mid. I don't know why he's an honorable mention.
He just got bumped up. That's why.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, I know that was it.
I'm like, do I want to fight for anybody? Go ahead.
So my fight would be Venom on the list. That's what I'll leave
Okay.
it at. I'll leave it at.
Hold on. Let me see. Can I? Hold on.
Think about it. Think about your anti-heroes. That's my favorite type of story. Vegeta and Dragon Ball.
Okay, I agree with Vegeta.
Darth Vader in Star Wars. Those guys are the guys that I love. That were bad for a long time, but they had that change of heart because they knew what they would do.
There you go. I put him on the list.
There we go.
Hey, listen. He went from off the friggin' bracket into the bracket. If it's bottom,
You can't
whatever.
say I don't follow the will of the people, Sean.
I appreciate you.
You
He's on
asked
the
for him to
list.
be on the list.
He's on the list.
He's on the list.
Maybe the symbiote is useless without having a host. Yeah. So, more than just a human, any kind of host.
There you go. Okay. So now we're going to jump into the final four. This is the most hotly debated people from the live stream, from y'all's opinions, from everything here. These were the four most hotly debated. Every single one of these characters got a ton of votes for either the best or overrated. And it was hot and cold. People were insane on both. Nigel, I'm going to let you start with Wolverine.
Oh, please don't, because he's trash. You see, The same way
I'm
Shawnee
gonna keep
P
my
moans
mouth
about
shut.
Hawkeye not having any power. All he has is claws in his hands. He's like a Marvel version of Freddy Krueger, and he's like basically a grumpy old man with claws. What does he offer? Tell me what.
Nigel, if I could come over there to the UK, I would punch you square.
But you slagged off Hawkeye for having no power.
Hold
All
on,
he's
let's
got is
backtrack.
claws. He's got claws.
Backtrack
Take
here.
his claws off him. He's a gym buff on steroids who's a grumpy old man.
He has
Hey,
Wolverine. He's a mutant, so he has Wolverine like
He's about as mutant as a snail. Come on.
he can regenerate. He has more than just the claws. He's fast, he's
No.
strong, he can regenerate, he's savage. You're off here. You're off.
He
It's-
broods like a Twilight character. That is his main superpower.
He's
Okay, all right.
Marvel's version of Twilight. Exactly. There you go.
Hey, don't go where Cage went.
He's even sparkly.
The movies might have made him sparkly, but the comics, he says bub. He says bub.
That in itself, okay. So being as serious as possible, I just wanted to bandwagon Sean a little bit here. Being as serious as possible, S tier, in my opinion. Comics, okay. So one, comics. Think of all the different stories Wolverine has been in. Because it's not just one iteration of the character. He's been phenomenal and has so many cool stories. He has such a rich background, a lore. And then think about the X-Men 97 animated series. He made the X-Men what they are. Realistically, as far as like his popularity in pop culture, Wolverine's like the predominant reason for that.
I mean, shoot, I remember doing it in school, taking 3 pencils and putting it between my fingers and acting like Wolverine.
He's the
Like, that was-
epitome of cool. And listen, I know that I did
Again,
Alpha Flight.
this right here,
Force.
one of the
The
best.
Alpha Force Flight. I know I didn't read those guys, but
Hey, technically, you did because Wolverine was part of Alpha Flight.
well, there you go. And because the man is Canadian, it's a clear bias for me. But even before I knew he was Canadian as a kid reading the comics, Wolverine was the coolest guy. He's my second favorite hero overall. So clearly he's my first favorite Marvel superhero.
Now, I will say, though, he does, and I think to a certain extent, all 4 of these characters do suffer from what we talked about before, overexposure,
But
and also movie bias.
there's a reason he's overexposed because he's so overexposable.
True.
He's the best. Why would they make several origin or spin-off movies for Wolverine? Because he's the best one to do it for. Because he's such
I'm
a
sorry,
great.
but the Wolverine was not a great movie.
I'm not saying the movies are great. Don't get me wrong. Not all the Wolverine movies are good, but Wolverine as a character is so good that they make the movies and they try to expose more of them.
True, but but I will say this: like Wolverine in the X-Men movies were great. Wolverine solo films weren't that great.
Logan's the
But
exception.
we're not
Except
just
Logan,
talking
except
movies,
Logan,
though,
yes,
too.
yes.
We're not just talking movies, though. In the comics,
yeah.
I think comics alone, he's S tier.
Yeah.
Sure,
So me and Sean are S tier. Are you S tier, Sid?
I'm honorable mention.
And then Nigel, you're overrated.
He's useless for him.
I can't. I'll fall asleep every time he comes on the screen. I shut a book if he's in it.
Even Super's Hawkeye, and you're going to fall asleep.
You're talking Wolverine. Come on, Shawnee P.
This is hard because I can't even go Will of the People because I feel like we're gonna have to stick it to honorable mention versus Esther because it was both ways. Like I can't really go up or down. So we had 2 S tiers, but I'm still gonna bring it down to honorable mention just because of the Will of the People was so torn. I'm gonna have to go.
People are wrong.
Put it there. No. Another one.
Hey, that's something that you and Nigel agree on. People are wrong on Wolverine.
It happens. Hey, but Venom's in useless here. So the next character, very similar circumstance, very similar powers in a certain way. Deadpool. No, I'm saying the next person I'm going to talk about. So Deadpool is the next character. Very similar to Wolverine. Got a, similar regenerative powers, similar cool character that's like very popular because of his personality as well. I want to start with you, Sid. What do you think, Deadpool? Deadpool.
Daredevil, yeah, sure, no,
Yeah, my
no.
bad, Deadpool.
No, but Deadpool, I think like I remember when I first read like a Deadpool comic, I thought he was absolutely hilarious. I was like, oh, this is cool, man. Like a superhero that actually like realizes he's in a comic book or in a movie when you watch the movies. I think that itself kind of makes the character interesting, and I would honestly, I mean, maybe he is a little overexposed because of the movies, but the movies are all really good. So I am going to say S tier.
Was every appearance of Deadpool good in a movie?
Except for the Wolverine movie. But
There you go.
yeah.
I was like,
His solo films. His films where he is the main character, yes.
when he came out of the ooze like a ninja, I feel like I keep making Ninja Turtle references, but when he came out of the ooze like a Ninja Turtle
Yeah, that
like
looked
villain,
I was
I was like, no. Nigel, what is your opinion on this?
Deadpool. I'll be honest with you, I've never read the comic books. Seen him much in comic books, but the movies, yes, the character's great. He's funny, he's witty, he's everything you want in a superhero for me. Is he S tier? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's one below. Honourable mentions, I believe.
Honorable mention.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sid, so you're going S tier, Sid?
yes.
So we got S tier, we got honorable mention. Sean?
Okay. I love comedy. That's my life. I've always been a part of it. He's a funny character, and he's a superhero who's pretty strong. Before the movies came out, I had made the decision that Deadpool is one of my favorite. And I like Nigel. I haven't read much of the comics, but I loved using Deadpool in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I think it was, on Xbox or PlayStation, one of them. Anyway, so I'm like, I love this guy. And then the movie came out, and I'm like, I know why I love this guy. He's hilarious. He's like a unique superhero. He's cool. I don't know, maybe not unique, but he's violent. He's a little more for adults, maybe. The kids probably shouldn't be watching them, and hopefully they don't watch a lot of Deadpool stuff. But I love his character. I mean, Ryan Reynolds does an amazing job with it. But
that's what I was going to jump into. How much of that is because it's Ryan Reynolds in the movie? Like, I really think. I think Ryan Reynolds. I don't think Ryan Reynolds makes the character. I think the character makes Ryan Reynolds. I think like Ron, because I think he loves Deadpool. He's talked about it for his whole life. He probably read the comics as a kid and was like, oh, this is what I want to be like as a person. Then he becomes this big star. So for me, Deadpool is, and of course, once again, Canadian. So
I was about to say
S tier for me, for sure.
See, that's an opinion I can agree with, that the character makes Ryan Reynolds, because before Deadpool, it was like Ryan Reynolds movies.
Ryan Reynolds is phenomenal. I will not take Ryan Reynolds slander in this chat.
But
okay,
if you look at what he produced, right? He was in movies that flopped more than he had hits.
That's arguable. That's very arguable. He was a huge star when he came
name
on.
Name a great one outside of that.
Two guys, a girl, and a pizza place.
Van Wilder, Waiting.
Waiting, yeah, they have both those.
What was it? The Proposal. He's been in a bunch of good movies.
What's
been in
the
a
Proposal?
lot of good movies.
Yeah.
That was the one with him and Sandra Bullock, right? Was that The Proposal,
yeah,
or what was that one?
I think that was after the first Deadpool.
We'd have to look at the time frame on that.
But I think Ryan Reynolds.
I'm just saying, Ryan Reynolds was an established popular star. It's not like
yeah. But I think what I was saying is, and I think he's a good actor outside of the Deadpool movies. But I think like just the love of Deadpool might have helped him with his
shape, his personality.
It made him more popular than I feel it made him more popular than he was at that point when he started doing that character. That's all
I think it's a twofer. I think
it definitely leveled him up. I think
it's mutually beneficial, because I feel like had they put someone in there other than Ryan Reynolds, it could have been bad. We could have got a George Clooney Batman scenario.
Oh no.
Hey, listen, I like the Schumacher Batman movies.
I'm just saying,
Batman Forever was fine. But
we'll get into that. Okay. So I'm going to go. So Deadpool's one of my personal favorites. I love the comedy, Mark Norman reference, but I love Love Deadpool, love his character, love all of the different versions of him. I love the fact he's a hero basically by apathy. You know what I mean? Like that's just like, eh.
Like,
I love that he breaks that fourth
fine.
wall.
You
I
know?
love all that stuff. So S tier easily for me. I'm going with that. The next character is another one that I think movie casting 100% made the character for me, and that is one of, if not the most hotly debated amongst all of the heroes, Iron Man. Because I think I didn't really like Iron Man in the comics as much, and I've read comics my whole life. But Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in the MCU, one, kickstarted the MCU into really what it is and was the perfect casting for that character and made me increase my care and love of the character. Let's go with Nigel. Curious.
100%. Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. made Iron Man. I agree with you 100%. Before that, seeing him in the comic books, it was like, no one really cared. They do care when they see him come out in the movie. Iron Man being the rich guy who's got all the tech and makes his suit, makes the character great, made Marvel kick off to what it is. Is it an S tier character? No. I think he's an honourable mention, but for me, he's not the top tier.
I'm going to jump in and give mine before we go to Sean, and then we'll finish with Sid. But my opinion is he is the most overrated character in all of Marvel history. The only reason anybody cares about him nowadays is because of Robert Downey Jr. Period. It's the only reason he is anywhere near as popular as he is, because he's Batman that's not as like cool and dark as Batman, and I don't even like Batman like that. So I think this is by far the easiest pick for me as most overrated of all of them. Sean?
Oh my God.
That man is playing Gallagher. That you're right. I don't know if you get that reference, but that was one of my favorite. So I was actually going to put him in honorable mention, but I don't know anything about Iron Man outside of the movie. So Pugs, that's a astute. I use that word already today, but that's an astute observation because
almost Robert, is it a scroot?
That's an astute conversation. I appreciate you. I should be doing this myself. Come on, Sean. Robert Downey Jr.
If your boys can't put on your brand, who can? You know,
Robert, because of Robert Downey Jr. playing that Iron Man character, he's actually went up on my list of favorite actors because I love what his role in that character alone. I do like other roles, of course, with RDJ. But see how cool we're hit. I call him RDJ. But yeah, I'm going to go overrated as well. I thought maybe honorable mention, but overrated you made a great point. It's only because of the movies that is where he's at. So yeah, overrated.
You are all right to have a terrible opinion. You are all right to have that.
You said Black Panther's overrated.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are
about
anymore.
Iron Man, but you love Black Panther.
I don't even know who you are anymore, Nigel. You're bringing out the Italian hands, brother.
I don't listen.
What's the matter for you?
Yeah, exactly.
I put Black Panther as overrated too because everyone's
whoa.
Have you read the comics though?
No, but people put the movies in like their top 5 Marvel movies. I don't think the Black Panther movies are that great.
Soundtrack wise, they're S tier along with Guardians. Guardians also has really good soundtrack. All right, Sid, let's get into Iron Man. Let's keep it to Iron Man.
I think you guys definitely took the words out of my mouth because I didn't ever care about Iron Man until RDJ. Yeah, see, I'm cool with him too. Came out with the Iron Man movies. I will say though that with the Iron Man, it was a trilogy, right? Yeah,
Iron Man. The third one was trash. I like to not think about the third one.
I do feel like the Iron Man for the trilogies, I feel like the movies kind of kept getting worse and worse. So just because of all that, and also I do know that in one of the comics, I know that our Iron Man has a drinking problem, and that's like the one thing that I remember about it in the comic books. But
I mean, if I read the comics that much, I'd probably start drinking too. I'm just saying, like that's just.
Johnny P, where's your trusty glass, man? No, it can't be.
Oh yeah, I should go get it.
Jeez. Anyway,
so are you going overrated?
I will say overrated to mid in that range.
So we're going overrated because we got 2 overrateds and a lower than honorable mention. So easily the most, hands down, unanimous, basically, because Nigel's wrong, opinion for Overrated.
No, it's all right
As
to
Iron
be
Man.
wrong, all three of you, because that's what you
I
are.
agree.
Wow.
It's all right to be wrong, Nigel. I agree. At least you know.
Yeah,
So,
it's all right to go wrong. We experienced that with Black
yeah.
Panther.
Okay. So we're gonna finish this off. This is the final hero, and we're gonna start with Sid. Sid, this was, along with Iron Man, one of the most hotly debated characters in all of the lives, and it's Captain America. Sid, what is your opinion on this?
So for me, Captain America, and I think I've said this before, his principles, as it were, I do think that's great. But I don't know, man. I think after with the Captain America movies, he has also been pretty overexposed. And from the three movies, I'm gonna say a hot take here. Out of all the three Captain America movies, Winter Soldier was the best one. I agree with that, but that's because of Winter Soldier, not because of Captain America. So again, it's also a case of his rogues gallery being a little bit more interesting than the character. Because if you're gonna say that about Punisher, I'm gonna say that about Captain America. I know Cage isn't here right now, but that's what I'm saying. Um, but at the end of the day, he's also just a guy who took really good steroids, and now that the government pumped into him, and then now he's going out and fighting Nazis. Cool, but I don't know. And also Chris Evans, he's not a bad actor, but I was bored every time
I'm
Captain
a
America
big
went
fan
straight
of
up.
his family restaurant, Bob Evans. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a Bob Evans, but they're really good. Nigel, speaking of being pumped by the government, how do you feel about this?
100%. All Captain America is a guy on steroids. That's it. It's overexposed. It's boring. Yes, I get the whole America thing, but no. For me,
Sean? Oh, go ahead.
Will I catch international heat here? Is he popular because of his name and his logos and symbols? Well, first of all, America is more than just the United States of America. So you hurt my feelings.
So should he be Captain North America? Is that what he should be?
Well, no, if he's Captain North America, you got to throw more logos. You got to throw like a little red, white in there, a little red, white, and green, right? No, I think the
Red, white,
overexposure.
blue, and green. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, I'm talking the Mexican flag. Sid, come on, man.
Yeah, I know, but like
He was saying all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, all three flags have red and white.
That would make a decent look.
Should it have maple leaf stars instead of just stars, like they're little maple leaves?
Yeah, right. So we should all be involved here. No, I'm just kidding. But Captain America, I think, because he's the epitome of like the U.S. superhero. Obviously, you're going to take advantage of that if you're making those movies, because those are the people that are paying you your money to get into when it comes to the movies. I don't know much about him from the comics, to be honest. I do appreciate his leadership. I'm a leadership guy, so but I think he's overrated. I like it, like he's okay, but overrated.
I think I have a. Oh, go ahead.
I would say, yeah, like kind of again piggybacking off of Sean, his qualities.
Is that a fat joke?
Man.
Okay, go ahead. Piggyback.
That was you. Okay, that wasn't me. No. Well, I think his like I said, his principles and like his values are something that all heroes should have. So yeah, that's there, but I think he's just as a character, he's just bland.
That's what I want to talk about. This man, if any character, is the epitome of at least, being American, Sid and I, of what a hero is. He's red, white, and blue apple pie.
I'm American too.
Well, I'm saying like
the U.S.
A U.S. citizen,
real
okay. America.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Amerigo Vespucci. So anyway, talking about like red, white, and blue apple pie, like it's about, I feel like he should just have tattoos of the entire Constitution, like all over him. Like instead of like people have like Bible scripture, he should have like
Nigel.
Yeah, he should exactly Declaration of Independence like right on his left ass cheek.
That's America's ass.
Kiss of King George. Good reference. But I have to say he is one of the flip side characters for me that I actually preferred the comics to the movies. I like Captain America in the movie or in the comics much more than the movies, but overall, I'm going overrated on that. So this is going to be our final
There's a
tier
better
list that we
version.
have.
There's a better
What was
version of Captain America. His name is U.S. Agent.
There's also Captain Britain. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of.
Captain
Well,
Britain.
Captain Canuck.
There you go. So this is our
Believe so.
final tier list of what we have here.
Oh, look
So
at that.
for our S tier, we have Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Great choices. And
Honorable mention.
similar kind of personalities, those guys.
True. Honorable mention, we have Alpha Flight, The Punisher. We have Hulk, Thor, Black Panther, Moon Knight, Wolverine. The most mid of them all, we have Hawkeye, the Powerless. Overrated, we have Ghost Rider, Cyclops, Captain Marvel, Daredevil, Iron Man, and Captain America. And then useless tier, only because I just added him to the list for Sean. We have Venom.
My boy.
I will say that Captain Marvel, for the will of the people, because this was by far the most like unanimous, Captain Marvel is going to useless tier. And that is for you in the live streams that came through and the hundreds of you that said Captain Marvel was the most overrated useless hero. That is for you. That is for the will of the people. But I feel pretty good about this, other than I feel bad. And it's not just because Nigel looks like someone kicked his dog. I am going to say that I think Hawkeye is overrated. No, I'm going to throw him in honorable mention. We're going to get rid of that mid tier. I say this is the final list. Do you guys feel comfortable with this?
No.
Because you want to be mid? That's what you want?
No, because Wolverine should not be on the second list.
No, he should be down the bottom.
Will of the people, though?
You're going to smack your bottom.
Will of the people, though, would keep Wolverine out of S tier. And I'm a man of the people.
I'm not. Listen, the list is okay, but if Wolverine's on top, I will not leave this conversation happy. But that's okay. We can be upset.
So make sure to take part in the live streams going forward. If you're not following the Viewcount channel on TikTok, it is watch dot, like a little period, Viewcount on TikTok. Come and check out the live streams. You can have your comments shape our next tier list, and you can actually be part of the people that I fight for the will of. But thank you to Nigel. Thank you to Sid. Thank you to Sean. Thank you to Cage, who disappeared because he actually had something to do. He didn't disappear out of anger. That was a joke. He told us beforehand he was actually working on some stuff and might have to dip out. But I appreciate you. First episode in the books, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll be back next week. Fast food, top and most overrated fast food chains. And hopefully you guys will be as well. We may have some of them here. We may have more people. Check out everybody on Viewcount, what we got going on. You guys can catch them all on TikTok. They'll all be all around in the comment section, all the videos we have. Thank you for watching.